Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Qi Gong at the Alexandria Museum of Art, our gracious hosts. This class is of course sponsored on Saturday mornings by Rapides Regional Medical Center through a very generous grant they provide the museum and indirectly myself to be here with you. And it is always, as always, a great pleasure to be here with you on Saturday morning, especially today. It is, if you've been outside, it's not spring anymore, it's not summer anymore. I hesitate to call it fall. It's almost winter outside. Excuse me. But it is a joy to be here as always with you, and whether you're here in person or whether you are at home on the video, on the feed, or later on watching the replay, you're certainly welcome. I'm glad to have you here with us. We've been focusing a lot, it seems this last week or so, on the concept of change and how having a good focus, a mindfulness, helps to make what can be a very uncomfortable thing more comfortable, more acceptable. And we've talked about different things, mostly around mindfulness and around the form, of course. I don't want to turn this into a philosophy class, but one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that change is inevitable. That is a constant of life, and now more than ever we have seen how very dynamic life can be. We can't plan for certain things, they simply happen. Whether it's a storm, a sickness, whether it's family issues, all this stuff is things we really can't plan for. What you can do is, and if you've lived in Louisiana, you know about preparedness, is a little preparedness, and that's by simply being mindful. That's a very powerful tool in your toolbox to help you cope with what is and can be an extraordinarily dynamic world, an extraordinarily change-oriented world, and can help us be more comfortable with change when it arrives. It can keep us internal and keep the storm external, which, trust me, for myself, is a tremendous boon. I've always been the tempest in a teacup. I can't seem to keep the storm outside me very well. And of course, Qigong, and by extension Tai Chi, yoga, any sort of exercise program really that you are pursuing that has an element of mindfulness, helps us build that focus, helps us keep our monkey mind from leaping out of ourselves and going out and seeing all the dynamicism going on outside, and then getting involved in it and telling stories to ourselves about it, and then it turns into a train wreck. We start imagining worst case scenarios, and we try to figure out all the things that could happen, and then we experience those in our heads, and we, you've been there, I'm certain. It is a very common human thing to seek out those possibles and make them reality in our heads, and our brains don't really know that well that what we're imagining is not what's actually happening. So we, in some ways, physically, suffer those moments. Our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate increases, our stress levels increase, our cortisone levels go crazy. So we can combat that with mindfulness. And by extension, mindfulness and the daily pursuit or weekly pursuit of an exercise form like this becomes a ritual, becomes a barricade against the storm outside. This is our preparedness. These rituals are very comforting. We have been hardwired from well long ago to find a path that works and stay with it. That kept us safe from saber-toothed tigers because we weren't walking near their watering hole, and it serves us now in that we find, for instance, the most efficient way to get to work, and that might also mean involving avoiding Jackson Street at 8 a.m. We've learned that that's not a safe way to go, so we go a different way. We find ways that work. We find ways that are safe and efficient and good for us, and we stay with them. They become habit. They become deeply ingrained. They become ritual. By the same token, we have rituals all through our lives. If you walk the house at night and make sure the doors are all locked, the windows are locked, and the stove's turned off, it's a ritual. They can be, unfortunately, negative rituals if you engage in alcohol or drugs as a way to deal with things. That can have a negative impact on you, obviously. And we won't turn this into a dare class either, don't worry. But I say this to support the idea that there are rituals, habits, courses of action that you can take that can have a profoundly positive impact on you. And that can be as simple as spending half an hour every morning or every day when you care to, doing Qi Gong, for instance, doing yoga, doing Tai Chi, doing Zazen, sitting on a cushion and trying to focus on the inside. There's so many options that you can explore, and one of the difficulties we encounter very shortly when we start these things is that pursuits like mindfulness, like meditation, like yoga and Tai Chi, don't necessarily have the immediate positive feedback that things like alcohol and drugs and driving fast and so forth have. They don't trigger the adrenaline systems, they don't trigger the pressure systems quite the same way, so they're harder to stay with. So if you're having a struggle getting started, if you're having a struggle staying with it, one, don't worry, that's normal. The endorphin building and the more positive responses and the pleasure center rewards come later in things like this. They come from more external rewards, being physically fit, feeling better, your mind being calmer, being more flexible, having a better breathing response. It all comes later for things like Qigong and Tai Chi and so forth. But don't give up. Stay with it. Be patient. And that can be tough. Being patient with ourselves is very, very tough. But the rewards will come. Make this a ritual. Make this a thing you do every morning. You get up, brush your teeth, brush your hair, wash your face, do your Qigong, go into your day. Make it a part of your daily, and it will really, really pay itself back. Again, not as fast as a shot of whiskey will, but it's certainly better for you in the long run. So, enough of that. Let's go ahead and begin the form. Remember, as always, tomorrow will be our deep dive class. And tomorrow will be, let's see, where are we up to? Not even sure. I'll have to look back at the old videos and see where we are. But Sunday's our deep dive class, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here live. Probably out in the yard unless it's very cold. Look forward to that. And thanks again to the Alexandria Museum of Art for letting us be here, masked and distanced, of course, and to Rapids Regional Medical Center for the grant that lets us be here to begin with. So, if you're ready, Georgia? She's ready. I know she is. She's been ready. Find my spot here. Okay. Let's begin with our first salad. Lifting the heavens. fingers backwards. Stars fall to earth.
What are you doing?
I'm teaching a class. What you doing?
We're looking around.
You looking at art?
Mm-hmm. We've never been here.
Oh, we're gonna enjoy it then. It's a lovely place.
How about we start cooking?
Okay.
It's actually called a commentary. So somebody read a book of the Bible and then they kind of talked about what they thought it meant.
Come on, let's do it.
Is that what that is?
Breathe in.
Yeah. Like a real fish.
Lie on wax table.
Yeah, where is it? Say it like this.
breathe out. Marry heavens and earth. Breathe in. One seats its own throne. and stamp the earth. One more. All right. Well done. So I don't think they actually managed to get quite on camera, but I'm certain you heard the father and the two little girls that came in about mid-form there. And I could not think of a better example of the dynamic quality of life. We exercise here because the museum is gracious enough to give us the space to use Saturday mornings. It is a beautiful space. And as we've said before, it's a very controlled space. The lighting is very even, the temperature is very exact all the time, the humidity is very controlled. Everything is very carefully maintained here in the galleries in the museum. And as such, we also get a very quiet environment. This environment is extremely quiet until patrons come in and they chit-chat with each other and so forth. And we've talked before about that as well, about how to take that and simply acknowledge it and move on. Don't let it become an issue. And not to brag, not to play myself up, but 10 years ago, an interruption like that in the middle of class would have sent me into a spiral of anger and annoyance. And the newer me, the more calm, more focused me, I'm actually kind of proud of the fact that I could interact with the little girls that were chatting with me about what they were doing here and what we were doing here, and still maintain the count, and still maintain a certain amount of mindfulness, and do it with, Georgia saw me grinning, I know you may have seen me smiling through the mask. It made me really happy just to chat with them for a second. That wasn't me 10 years ago, but mindfulness, a careful pursuit, a acknowledgement and acceptance of how we react to stimuli outside of ourselves can change things, can make things better, can make things more manageable, can make stress more manageable. You could probably push the definition pretty hard and say that was a stressful thing. I'm trying to focus on Georgia and on you and the camera, and trying to just concentrate on what the count was and where I was in the form, and I get interrupted. Okay, so yeah, it happens. It happens all the time, especially in this environment. This environment is so controlled, it really could have been a really annoying thing. But I acknowledged it. Okay, she wants to talk. Let's talk. Let's, keep it brief, focus on this, and maintain. And it went lovely. It's all practice. It's all practice. It's all a journey. There would probably come a day, and well, I can say this for a fact, there's still moments that can send me off very easily. I'm no saint. I'm no Buddha by a long shot. I promise you that. But careful work, pursuit of this, pursuit of mindfulness, attention to what's going on inside here, and efforts to improve that, to control that, and to find a way to prevent the mind from doing the things it wants to do by itself, and instead you holding the reins gently and saying, no, we're going to do this. can make a massive, massive difference in your life over time. It takes practice. Thank you for practicing today with me. Georgia, thank you for being here. I missed Georgia last week. She had some things going on and couldn't join us, and unfortunately Patty couldn't join us today. She has some things going on. That happens. Life is dynamic. Sometimes you can't make it to class. Sometimes you don't feel it's even safe to come to class. That's okay too. It really is. There will come a time when we can be here together again in masses of 10 and 20 and however many people want to show up and not have any concerns. Until that comes, we have the live feed, we have distancing, we have masks, we have space. If you want to join us, please do. Beginners, regulars, you're always welcome. And if you want to stay at home and maintain that distance, then by all means do so. I'm going to keep doing these videos as long as I have a functional phone, I should say, I guess, at this point. But it is appreciated that you're with us, whether you're with us in person or on the videos. Again, a sincere thank you to the Museum of Art, Alexandria Museum of Art, who have really taken this quarantine and the ensuing 7 months of issues and turned it into a wonderful opportunity to reach out through new channels to us, their patrons, the people they want to serve. And I strongly suggest, if you have the chance, check out the museum's Facebook page. Cindy Blair does a TikTok page for the museum and for herself, for Cindy Blair Light Art. Check that out. You can go on Instagram, find them. You can go on Facebook. They're everywhere on social media. Well worth the effort. Well worth your time. Look into the program the museum's offering and be watching for the extended programming that we're going to be doing with the Healthy at AMoA as that develops out. And obviously thank you to Rapids Regional Medical Center for being our front line. Without them, we would all be in a world of hurt, as my dad used to say. All right, tomorrow morning, Sunday Deep Dive. I just realized, it took me a second as I get to the form. Deep Dive is going to be Quan Ti Sits on Throne. So that should be an interesting one, the first of our two very active, very noisy postures. We'll cover that tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until next Saturday, here in the museum, thank you. I sincerely appreciate you. Please stay safe and be well.